We live in a very strange world. 8 years later and there's still no new Knight Rider movie, Clara Dow got a boob job, the Kardashians will always somehow find a way to stay relevant, and Mighty Monsterwheelies Season 2 is actually not a terrible fucking dumpster fire straight from hell. Because I'm just the luckiest girl on earth. Exactly on May 5, I woke up to discover that I was completely thrown out of my Netflix. I had just completely lost access to my account and I didn't have time to fix it because of school and being fucking lazy playing games on Steam with my friends. And after some help from my uncle and grandma, I finally watched what has to be the most mid show I've ever seen in my entire life. Now, some of you might not believe that I actually had my hopes up for this season, and yes, as much as I love Mighty Monsterwheelies with the entire piece of iron in my ribcage, I know every show can improve, and I felt very generous for giving this show another shot because I literally have been shitting on it from when it was released. But season 2 is actually kind of an improvement. Now, it's easy to screw something up, especially if you're DreamWorks. But season 1 of this show really abuses the privilege, and DreamWorks has been driving some nasty turns. So, is Mighty Monsterwheelies Season 2 gonna be the same ride as Season 1 being total crap, or is it actually going to arrive to the destination called the 2 mega trucks for Real's liking? Let's find out, shall we? This season is pretty long, so I won't go over all the episodes. I will just cover some episodes that I liked, some that were actually done very well in my opinion. When I covered Season 2 on my Tumblr, I asked for 2 things. 1, more interaction between the characters, and 2, more emotional depth. Now, the chance that anyone at DreamWorks saw my blog is very small, and I don't believe my post had anything to do with this, but Season 2 did improve the interaction the Monsterwheelies have with each other. This show really improved on the social interaction and the relationship dynamics between the Monsterwheelies. They were definitely more affectionate to each other, more praising, more involved. They seem to be more interested in each other, and they have more problems to solve that happen between them. For example, there's an episode where the Monsterwheelies discover that they talk over each other a lot, and they decide to try to take turns talking, which works. And there's an episode where the Monsterwheelies help an old monster truck back in shape for like monster truck race against newbies. Yes, they actually went Cars 3. There's also this purple dude that is like the big bully, I guess, even though he doesn't really do that much. He's highlighted on, but he doesn't really bully anyone. This old monster truck actually participates, and he actually loses the race to the purple dude, and he throws the "well, at least I tried," which was so unbelievably refreshing to see, because you barely see or hear that anymore in kids media, especially preschooler media, and it really caught my attention because I didn't expect this show, out of all shows, to actually do something like that. Then there's an episode that deals with false accusation, which is the first episode I will fully cover. So in this episode, Bolts gets angry and like throws with things, and Briggs, the mayor's assistant, makes a hole in the newly arrived movie screen for the open air theater. Jesus Christ, Regina. English. But because Bolts was going haywire on the streets, they think he did it, mostly because the hole in the screen is shaped like his head. So after some asking, they indeed think it's Bolts. Meanwhile, Briggs knows it's her, not Bolts, but she doesn't dare to speak up because she's scared Bolts will get mad and go all Frankenfuck on her. So she hides the card that she made the hole with. The situation gets worse and we get some gorgeous Bolts being a drama queen.
Well, that's it then. Here I go into the night, without a word. Don't try to stop me. This is goodbye!
Later, Bolts and Axel find the card, and Bolts actually is not angry at her. He's just upset because she wasn't being honest. And Briggs admits she actually was the one that made the hole and not Bolts, and everything turns out okay. There are numerous reasons why this episode is as good. It kind of came unexpected to me. For some reason, I kind of had to guess what this episode was about in the beginning. Like, don't watch things you know are too scary, or you do stupid things when you're angry. But this actually really does something even better. False blame. Which is also something I've not seen in a preschool show before, so props to that. I especially like that little moment where Axel goes over all the points and that everything is slowly pointing at Bolts. And Bolts very loudly says in anger, "But I didn't do it," to which Axel replies, "I believe you," which was pretty sweet, in my opinion. This episode is definitely one of the most well done episodes in this entire show so far, and it also shows that despite the Monsterwheelies, especially Bolts, being rescue workers and helping people and protecting the community, they do remain, you know, monsters. They are not normal cars. In fact, in nature, they should be dangerous. Frankenstein killed people in very gruesome ways, vampires bite people and suck their blood, mummies are dead and shouldn't be alive, and werewolves turn into massive wolves at certain nights. And those are just a few examples of the creatures within the Monsterwheelie team. So being scared of the Monsterwheelies being mad at you is a very understandable fear. And the fact that Briggs should be very close to Bolts in the Monsterwheelies since he's the mayor's assistant and she's still kind of scared of Bolts really shows how dangerous he really is. And after this episode, I kind of realized the Monsterwheelies are in fact dangerous. I mean, look at Raps. If Raps was a terrorist, all of Motorvania would fucking die. And Bolts can definitely kill Briggs. Speaking of Bolts, It's time to ramble, baby. Bolts is handled very well in season 2. There's a certain amount of focus on him and his development. I really feel like they gave Bolts more of an actual personality. They showed his quirky, playful side, but also his mature, more sacrificial side. He feels more like a person, which was a pretty big problem to me in season 1. The characters didn't really have much of a personality outside of being rescue workers and having cool catchphrases. Which this season, by the way, proves they just say to be cool. It doesn't have anything to do with the actual usage and power of their abilities. They just say them for plots. They know they're in a TV show. It's fourth wall breaking. But anyway, I like how Bolts actually has flaws and a personality now. It's really good to see Bolts being more than I have a plan and activate Franken's strength and flexing that supernatural muscle. We finally get to see Bolts being an actual hero and an actual good person, mostly an actual team leader. They really develop Bolts. I love that. Another problem I used to have with Bolts is how similar is he to Frankenstein? I did read the original Frankenstein book by Mary Shelley back in school when I was like 14, but I forgot most of it. I did like the book. I really liked the story. But Frankenstein is not exactly the first thing I would think of when I want to create a heroic character, because in the book, Frankenstein murders people, including a child, okay? Frankenstein has murdered a child. So when I look at Bolts, just how far does he actually relate to Frankenstein? Has Bolts killed people? Has he tried committing suicide? What is bro's tea? And of course, because this is a super cool fire truck with arms, we get some supernatural Frankenstein flex, Frankenflex, where Bolts like jumps off buildings and apparently shines light and road rages. As I said before, I think this scene caught my attention most, where Bolts like pushes walls back that are closing in on him. He lets the others escape, and then Lord knows how the hell he did that. Anyway, one last thing about Bolt's personality and growth is that I love that he has an idol. Apparently, in one of the last episodes, this older fire truck that used to do, you know, what fire trucks do, Flame McGuire, I think was his name, returns to Motorvania, and Bolts is fanboying because he looks up to this dude. This episode is done so well. It really surprised me. First of all, I love how they gave the team leader, the one with the rapper energy and the Franken strength, someone to look up to. I do not blame Bolts at all for working differently than McGuire, because Bolts is very obviously younger and more advanced, not to mention he is definitely like trained, or he had some sort of education on this. The fact that McGuire supports Bolts and compliments him for his job is great too. He, for example, compliments Bolts' reflexes and way of water use. It ends with Bolts actually saving McGuire from a very big fire, and he does it his own way, immediately jumping into action and activate water cannon and shit. And he's kind of disappointed because he wanted to learn from McGuire and like learn his ways, but then McGuire tells him, your way rescued me. Your way of working saved my life. I love that, because it really just shows how willing Bolts is to try new things. And he's actually just so curious, and he's interested in other people. It's really good, actually. All the Monsterwheelies actually get proper screen time and actual personalities, which is very good to see. This season kind of starts off as the same shenanigans as 1, but it slowly progresses into more. Giving the Monsterwheelies like missions outside of Motorvania, it slowly progresses into more interesting concepts. It comes with also new characters, including the introduction of another Monsterwheelie, not the zombie I'm still waiting for. We got Frankenstein, we got Mummy, we got Helena Bonham Carter. So now let's fuck up the Yeti. That's right, we're getting a nice snowcrawler Bigfoot thing with anxiety, I guess. Yay! Switching up. Definitely the worst episode. It revolves around Phantom Freeze being jealous of Bolts getting positive recognition and being liked by everyone. Nobody likes her because her work is only relevant in the summer and she's a fucking loser. So instead of doing good things herself, she decides to hypnotize Bolts, steal his weapon, and tries to take his place. His place as a trained rescue worker with probably a few years of experience. Because in a fire, she of course has no idea what to do, even though the other Monsterwheelies are with her, except she hypnotized them too, so they're kind of like mindless ghosts. But I hated how she doesn't really get any consequences for what she does. Even though she hypnotized this town's first line of defense, used them to gain recognition, stole the main weapon of their leader, and brought her life, the lives of the Monsterwheelies, and the life of the fucking mayor in direct danger during a forest fire. And she doesn't receive any consequences whatsoever. Instead, she gets what she wants. Recognition and fame for doing literally nothing. I believe this show is trying to tell me ice trucks indeed kidnap people, and that I have talked to at least 5 murderers in my life. Thank you, DreamWorks. This episode is really frustrating. Phantom Freeze doesn't receive any form of punishment for committing literal fucking crimes. I never liked Phantom Freeze either way, but like, this just made me hate her. She just kind of is a bitch and does stupid things. And then there's Invisible Van, who is sort of a villain, but also not. He's really just kind of there. Gandalf knows where the fuck this dude even is half the time. He's kind of just a plot device. He doesn't really do much of interesting things, other than that he just wants to be rich. And in typical kids show fashion, he wants to do it in an overly complicated how the fuck did the writers come up with this probably illegal way. He does things he knows will get the Monsterwheelies on his ass, but he doesn't anyway. Phantom Freeze is just handled very poorly. She doesn't really have any development. I know this show kind of revolves around everyone can be a hero stuff, but it's also sometimes if you do something bad, you need to see the consequences. And in my opinion, hypnotizing someone against their will, stealing, preventing rescue workers from doing their job, and bringing people in life danger in a fire is pretty bad. Somehow there's more good than bad in this season. It accomplishes way more than season 1 does. There's an episode where the mayor actually goes with the Monsterwheelies out of Motorvania. However, we still don't know why his name is Van Helsing, and his backstory with the Monsterwheelies we also don't know, but this show is probably going to get milk, so we'll get more of those anyway. Final opinion, season 2 is at its best good. It's not anything special compared to children's TV in general, but compared to season 1, it's definitely a massive improvement. There's a lot of more going on. I got more invested in especially Bolts. The Monsterwheelies are actually friends. For this show, this is very good. I am glad this season kind of met my wishes. It didn't meet my expectations, thankfully, but I honestly thought it was going to be the same awful Netflix hell as season 1. But it actually became much better. You can definitely tell the writers worked the characters a bit more through. Overall, Mighty Monsterwheelies has fucking improved, people. It's not worth the contract. I would still rather have Dino Truck Supercharged, but then again, who wouldn't? This show is nothing out of the ordinary, but it definitely became better. Opinion on a potential season 3? I mean, if it's handled well, then go for it. There's still a lot to explore and go over in this world. There's more than enough room for this show for stories and character background. Let's be honest, this is DreamWorks, and it's probably going to be milked. Monster Cars, Kids Show, Frankenstein, True Valentino. This shit sells, and it's going to keep selling. So we'll likely see more of the Monsterwheelies in the future. Yeah, I got work. I'll see you again. Bye, sisters!